Hello everyone, TLSG here. Welcome back to another Marvel Snap live stream. Thank you everyone that jumped in today. I have been experimenting with a fully AFK Agatha list, and I don't know that it will ever be phenomenal, but it is incredibly fun from time to time to be able to just let Agatha take the wheel and just decide the fate of your cubes and the fate of your games. So thank you everybody that jumped in early. We have Hi TLSG, we have Astros, we have Harry, we have Agatha, we have Jeremiah, we had Pilk, but I believe he jumped out. Thank you for 4 months, Pilk. I appreciate the constant support and just being active in the Discord. We have Wodar, we have Q, we have Rind God, we have G and J, we have Jack, we have Dark Curls, Hail Bludgeon. Thank you all for being here. Get to talk with chat all stream. Wodar, that was one of the driving factors in testing out the list, is that I can chat and not have to feel like we're really juggling. Purple Project Onyx, welcome, and Gratifying Jeans. I'm glad you're able to jump in and join this. Gratifying. And so let's go ahead and switch over into the deck explanation. And so it is a list that tries to stack as many versatile and powerful turn 4 and turn 5 plays as possible. And so I tested out running Quicksilver, but that is essentially going to take away one of your draw chances early on. Domino is in here just to always have a turn 2 drop. And then we curve into a turn 3. Any of these 3 can be pretty decent. Green Goblin is probably the weaker of the 3. Morph can get some incredibly high rolls. I ended up getting the opponent's Leech on 3, which was one of the most hilarious things that I've done with this list so far. Thor is also a very versatile and can continue to push power even after the fact. And then that leads us into our turn 4, where we have Jubilee or Shuri. Shuri is probably going to be the high roll, where we can push a really big power Captain Marvel that can rove across the board. We have an arrow to force their turn 5 play into our big turn 16 arrow. It could also be a 30 power Red Skull into a turn 6 natural Agatha. And if anywhere in between there we end up skipping and missing out on any energy, She-Hulk is there to kind of cover the bases as well. And so let's go ahead and we're going to jump into a couple of games, and there should be no reason that we can't keep up with chat today. So I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I still haven't come across any of the new Series 5 cards on either of my accounts. I have plenty of tokens, but we just haven't come across them yet. As soon as we do, we're gonna test out as many builds as we possibly can. Hey Christy Gamala, how's it going? Kimmy, yeah, it's gonna be amazing gameplay. I told Soul Knife or Jeremiah that it's going to be him watching me watch an AI play a game. And so most of the time, the Agatha AI is very, very poor. And I think it'd be funny to have a way to just let it completely take control. Because a lot of times using a wave or a Lady Sif ends up it kind of restricts what you can do on the later part of the game. So it takes away some of those powerful plays, because that's always going to take your turn 4 slot. So then you only have 2 turns to play with. If you can find a way to make it fully AFK, then I think it'd be really fun to see. And so we're 100%. We can retire at the top. It's a 100% win rate deck. That's the YouTube title, and we're gonna end it here. That's the stream, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. And then American Primate, thank you so much for 2 months. Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope that you're able to get some time off and and a decent amount of time with family, friends and family. Project Purple, Christmas time is incoming. And then Slade, you said why no Lady Sif or Wave? I feel like Lady Sif and Wave puts it into a very restrictive box. And so I've always wanted to see if we could make one that does decently just by itself. I think most of the time, just inherently, since it is going to be RNG based, I don't think it'll be phenomenal. but it will be able to. But I am curious if we can ever make one that's, you know, halfway decent. That if we snap strategically, if we can ever climb with one that just fully takes control. If you end the stream now, if you end the stream now, you just have a silly screenshot to pad the runtime. Can't let viewers of the video on demand know you ended it right away. Yeah, we would just have a silly screenshot. And so we do have the Shuri play line here. We're not going to have a huge play. Most likely we'll lose this one. They snapped because of the Green Goblin instant destruction, but that's all right. Loving the later stream time again. Debrum, I'm so glad. Right now it's kind of back and forth. And so, I don't know. Hopefully it's something that we can do for a while. But right now, between work and the rest of the content, it's just a little bit back and forth. Wait, Project Purple? No, we're not leaving. We're not leaving. Best Shuri replacement. I would say any other really strong turn 4, which that's where this list starts. Oh no. Oh no. So it's gonna be a double powered Jubilee. We're gonna start off negative. It's gonna be a double powered Jubilee. The most flex of plays that it could possibly do. I imagine there's maybe a wave coming on Healbot's end. We're gonna end up losing this one. We're not gonna let this one go all the way to the end. Is Dark Hawk a good Devil Dino counter? I don't necessarily think so. I think Ronin is more in the Devil Dino counter slot. I feel like Hawk has a little bit different kind of build or niche. By being stronger depending on how many cards are in the deck, you want to flood the opponent with as much junk as possible.
All systems go.
If Ego is present and Agatha as well, who plays the cards? I think they said that it's the same AI, but I don't know for sure. I know at one point they did say it was the same AI, and we both know how bad Ego is. And so if that is the AI that takes over, it's not a great one. I'm going to go ahead and retreat here. We have a small chance that they misplay, but it's not a big enough one to risk 2 additional cubes. I'll start off with -1, and then we can jump into the next one. When would you do a stream with the decks your chat chooses? On the Marvel Snap side again. Oh, so the draft deck. That could be fun to do sometime soon. Because we have quite a few cards, and it's been quite a while. It's been since global launch that we did that, right? I think we can look to do something like that soon. I would like to do that on a stream that's a little bit longer, or maybe just someday that we don't have a deck that we want to test out. I'll start trying to figure out when we can do one of those. I didn't realize how long it had been, but it's been over a month since we did a draft challenge, and so I would like to let chat pick my cards again. That was really fun when we did it. Christy Gamala, leaders should not be able to copy Agatha since you're not the one playing. That would be, Christy, that would be amazing. Since we're not technically playing, if leader didn't copy anything, that could make it a little bit more worthwhile to have the fully AFK. King Gamer Wiz, you got Sentry in your shop? That's huge. Orkun, if Agatha would have played Green Goblin mid, that would have been the worst of plays. Ooh, you top decked Deathlock against a Leecher. Oh, so they ended up using Leader to copy your Deathlock, right? I mean, that's not a bad play. That's the little morph that could. It pulled over both their Electro and their Ebony Maw into a turn 4 Green Goblin just for a little extra padded padded flare. Yeah, the morph is, I think, MVP in this deck. If the opponent is running really strong things, you can do some silly combinations. Agatha knew what was happening. Agatha knew it all along. Into the Jubilee, so we could get a Captain Marvel here. We could get America Chavez, or what's the last card in our list? So it's Chavez, Captain Marvel, and then one other card that we don't have yet. but for whatever reason, I can't figure out which one it is. Captain Marvel would probably be the most... Oh, our arrow. Captain Marvel would have been the most ideal because it's the most flexible, but we might... No, Agatha, why? Why would you do this, Agatha? She was doing so good. So good. Purple Project, why don't you play some one-cost cards? Three arrows in this game. The reason I don't have more one-cost cards is so that Agatha's AI is really bad. So if it can play a one-cost, so like it played Green Goblin instead of Shuri, or instead of Jubilee on turn 4, if it has the option to play some one-cost cards and it breaks the chance for it to use one of these, one of the higher cost or higher priority cards, it will a lot of the times, and it just ends up making it's not as consistent, just because of the way that the AI plays the cards. And so I wanted to limit the number of choices Agatha had into ideally just some strong counterplays, or some strong just general value cards. One costs could allow us to flood our cards out onto the board a little bit quicker or earlier. So maybe it's something that we test out and take out some of the lower performing, maybe 3 or 4 cost cards, or maybe even the 5 cost cards. But I think it'd be one of those we have to test it. Max Mander's currently at level 35. Recently got Wong, so got a Wong, White Tiger, Odin combo, and a Destroy deck with Nova Carnage, Deadpool. Which should I use to push to 40 or 50? I think it depends on what you're seeing, Max Manders. If you're seeing cards that kind of counter Wong, oh, I didn't end the turn. If you're seeing cards that counter your Wong play, so if you're seeing like Magnetos or Cosmos, then I would say the Nova Carnage Deadpool would be a little bit more flexible. Otherwise, I think the Wong deck is pretty decent, as long as you're not seeing just some really big, powerful plays. And then Tofood, what deck did you use the most to climb the season? The one that I used the most to climb the season was an Atuma 0 deck. So the one that I used on yesterday's stream was the one that I used the most. Outside of that, I used KM Best's Devil Dino Control a little bit. Here and there, but mainly it was the Atuma list, because I wanted to run... Oh, no. I wanted to run something that didn't utilize Leader if I possibly could. So we morph into Psylocke. I know that they have some strong cards with them playing Electro. They have to have some big cards that we could have ended up playing, but instead we got Psylocke. So we'll get an early arrow, but this is going to be another loss. Oh, no. It was doing decently for us. And then now it's not. How do you feel about Atuma? So Pilk Enjoyer, he already jumped out, but he has a pretty decent use for Atuma with a null. But outside of that, I think it's a little bit tricky to use. In the 4-cost slot, if you're going with the Shuri route for your 0, or even if you're going the Dracula route, they kind of conflict with each other. And so then you end up not really getting as much value out of it. Ryan God, welcome to, what is that, 2 months? Thank you for the continued support. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a phenomenal day so far. And we're going to retreat out of this one too. Agatha's not where it's at today. We had some decent... We were climbing slowly but surely in the testing, and it could have just been a different time zone or just the RNG. This deck is going to be very heavy RNG. I wanted something that I could kind of focus on chat while we played, and we may even pivot off of it if it doesn't end up turning it around. And then we have Q. We have our friend, enemy, arch rival. We have Q. With Q games, we always go to 8 cubes, so we could start it off super negative, or we could start it off super positive. And then Advait, should I buy Sentry or wait for Null to rotate in?
Right on time.
I think Sentry is a little bit too early. We don't know how well he's going to fit in practice. We know that Null has a decent spot, depending on what time it is in the meta and what we're seeing. I personally think Null would be pretty good in quite a few decks, but I don't know how Sentry is going to fare. So I think if I was just going to buy one, Null's pretty decent, but you do have to run a very specific deck to make use out of him. And then Geoff, why is there no wave in this deck? I wanted to try a fully AFK version, something that just runs by itself and utilizes some really powerful 4 and 5 cost cards to try to get the most upside out of Agatha as possible. Since we have Agatha and America Chavez, that essentially will thin our deck by 2, leading up to turn 5. And so we can more reliably draw into our Shuri, our Captain Marvel, some of those cards. Hopefully Agatha does not whiff here again. Hopefully it does a Red Skull or a Captain Marvel, or less or so an Arrow. Oh my gosh, the Jubilee again. Have you won with this deck yet? I have won a couple. I climbed about 15 cubes in testing, but so far with the stream it has not been going well. We're gonna let the double powered Jubilee go. Ugh. And Q's gonna take all of our cubes. Carlos, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. Harrison Wade, I find I climb more with Agatha because I pay more attention to snapping. Yeah, that's another. I mean, we'll take it. It's not the best, but we'll take it. Rando, welcome. I'm so glad you were able to jump in and join us. Yeah, Agatha knows. Agatha knows what we need. We'll still probably lose this one just because Mojo World, he could put his Null into the Avengers compound and just absolutely take over. But since it's Q, we're going to see it all the way to the end. Can you make a Valkyrie deck? We could. Oh, he does stack Null into the Avengers compound. Had Agatha played herself into the Avengers compound, we would have won that one. That one could have went either way. What a morph pool though. That brings us down to a -12. I found a sick list for Rando. If you shoot me that list, I've been testing out Valkyrie, and while we're in the leech meta, if we get leeched whenever we're running Valkyrie and like leaning in on Valkyrie, then it works well. Otherwise, or if it gets leeched, it doesn't work well. Otherwise, it does pretty decently. So if you shoot me that list, I'm definitely interested in it. And then Shimdaga, hi, I really like your content and your voice is amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the content. Maybe less or so with Agatha taking the wheel. But I am so glad that you're enjoying the content. And something I didn't realize before I started doing content was that my voice was soothing. So I'm glad that you find that soothing as well. And then Q, that was a huge gamble. It could have went either way. Had Agatha played over where you played Null, it was back and forth. It definitely could have went either way. I thought with the morph pool we had it, but you did take the 50-50 guess correctly. Green Goblin with this featured location is not good. Everyone's running Carnage. And we can look at doing a replacement. I just didn't see any other good 3-cost drop. And I wanted Agatha to always have something to play on 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course 6. Something that was decent value, so that it's not losing too much tempo. But you might be right. With Green Goblin, with everyone running Carnage, with the new location, it might not be phenomenal. But we can look at alternatives. So it's going to go with the double Jubilee. The double Jubilee pool. The first time was a Green Goblin. This time it has to be either Shuri or Chavez. And either one would be decent. I think Chavez is going to be a little bit more decent, just because next turn we're gonna be forced to play our Agatha. And so I guess we'll see how it goes. What are the must-have Series 3 cards you should spend your tokens on, in your opinion? Right now, and it could always change depending on any kind of patches. I would say Sarah is a core one. Death is another really big one. we probably lose this one, but it is only one additional cube. We need to stick it out to the end at some point. Had Agatha played in middle, I think that would have been more ideal with the Shuri. Why not run wave? Oh no, we lose by 2, right? Had they had initiative, their Agatha would have been 14, and ours would have been 28 to find our win condition. But instead, since we had initiative going to that last turn, they copy the double-powered Agatha. It's not a good day for Agatha. Q, you said just finished making my Agatha deck. I'll try and snipe you with it next. Maybe we can find a win if we're going against another Agatha. I spent on Wong and Juggernaut. Wong is another decent one, but he's not as strong as a lot of people gave him credit for. He's good in certain metas, but if the meta is very counter-heavy, he ends up being really, really lackluster. And so for me, the top 2 or 3 right now would be Sarah, Arrow, Leader, and Death are the ones that are just really, really big. But of course, those could be nerfed at the start of next season. We don't know for sure. Wong is very telegraphed, and so if they have a counter to it, then it's easy to sneak away. Creep. Agatha is the most aggravating card to play with. Yeah, just looking at some of the plays she makes, it can be infuriating. Momo, what's up, TLSG? -16. Yeah, we gambled an 8-cuber against Q, and unfortunately didn't get the upside. We are going to be eating a green goblin here. It's going to bounce there and bounce back. It's just for flair, apparently. We'll look at the green goblin replacement after this one. Oh my gosh. Joe Piggy, sorry, you still haven't answered my question. Why no wave? I've played Agatha wave decks before, and I think they're probably the more consistent Agatha decks. I wanted to see if there's ever a scenario where we can find an Agatha list that can run by itself and just do decently. Right now, the answer to that is probably no. But it is something that I did want to see if it was possible. And we used Jubilee and pulled their Khazar into Kunlun, which is not going to be ideal. We will get the double-powered Agatha at the end of the turn, or at the end of the game, but I anticipate a Patriot, not a Patriot, an Ultron. So we're going to go ahead and bounce out of this one. And let's look for a Green Goblin replacement. Did you get any winter variants yet? On this account, I only got 1. On my other account, I got like 4 in like half the reserves. And so as far as recent goes, we got the Winter Vacation Rock Slide. I think that's the only one we got. We did buy the Sunspot bundle. That's the only one that we got on this account. The other one, we have the Rock Slide, we have Devil Dino, we have Rogue, we have Abomination, and I think one more that I didn't know had a Winter Vacation skin. And it was like half the reserves that we pulled. Maybe Juggernaut? We could look at a Juggernaut. So I want it to be a 3 cost. That way it curves in pretty decently. And I had added in Green Goblin because if it plays an Ironheart by itself, it's not great. These other ones are pretty situational. Nakia would be very hit and miss. Wolfsbane would probably be one of the first cards that it plays, which is not going to be great. We could do a Brood, which is a 3/6, and it kind of restricts Agatha from doing any kind of dumb play lines. We could do a Cosmo, but that probably would end up stopping like our Shuri or our Arrow. Debris, I think maybe Juggernaut might be our best bet. We could do Electro. Electro would let us ramp into things a little bit earlier, and it's one of my favorite variants. So I think, yeah, let's try an Electro. Oh no, are we starting off for negative for today's stream? We are starting off very negative for today's stream. Let's go ahead and grab a new snip of this deck so that we can replace the elements, and maybe this small but subtle change. can be enough to help slingshot this deck into just not losing every single game. One of these games is gonna be the one. Okay, so now we can jump in with our Electro ramp version of want to lose some cubes, Agatha. That is where we're at. We're at 109. I don't necessarily care about climbing too much. You're true. That's true, Jeremiah. Electro and Thor don't work well. And Electro, in theory, if it's the first 3-drop is good, but if it drops it instead of like Shuri or Jubilee, then there is kind of that clash as well. Let's see. We'll see. We believe in Agatha, though. We believe in Agatha. We know what she can do. We know what she's capable of. We're gonna donate some cubes to Johnson's son. What do you think about Zabu? I am very excited for Zabu. I think it's going to create some kind of crazy play lines alongside Sarah. Nakia, oh, that's true, Q. Nakia might be nice because it does always hit Agatha because she's always far left. I didn't think about it always hitting that one target, so we always get at least 2 value out of her. Polaris could also be a decent one. When they add a record, will your win and losses be added before they add the record system? I don't know. I don't know, meme. Do the winter variants have a higher pull rate? I don't think they've said anything about the pull rates. I haven't seen one person on YouTube who can win with Agatha. An Agatha control deck that runs like a Shang-Chi, an Enchantress can do decently, but it is very situational. So you're going to retreat more often than not, and then just have to snap strategically whenever you can. What does Zabu do again? As far as the last version that I know, it reduces the cost of your 4 cost cards by 1. So oh no, by 2? Oh no, it reduces them by 2. I thought it was reduce them by 1. If it was by 1, that brings them to 3, and then you could play Sarah, which reduces them 1 more. Agatha was playing pretty well for a second there. She knew that the cubes were on the line. She knew that the... Wait, are we going against another Agatha? That's the only way I can explain the Ghost Rider there. Electro is OP. Look at that power. Look at that power. Brandon, how's it going? So we have 7 energy. We can only play 1 card per turn. We've already played our Captain Marvel. So do we want to go with... We can go with a Morph. We could go with a Shuri into a Red Skull, since we already have a decent lead here and here. We can play our Red Skull in either this lane or this one and just allow Captain Marvel to be that rover. I think that's what we're going to go with. Yeah, I feel like this has to look... I feel like this has to be another Agatha. Yep, there it is. There's the Agatha. So Johnsonson, are you watching the stream? Are you if you're watching the stream, I appreciate the double snap into the Agatha. That's just believing in Agatha. That's believing in what she can do for you. So this is going to be a 34 power Red Skull, and he could do pretty much whatever he wants here. 34 power, it's going to give them 8 power in return. So it's going to put us at 36, and it's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. That puts them... Math is tough. That puts them at 37. So we need to play it into the sewer system. Oh, wait, yeah, Red Skull does it with Captain Marvel. It would move over. But then we'd probably lose sewer system, right? Do we just go right instead? TLSG giving free cubes today. Cheers. Geoff, we're donating wherever we can. Chavez Red Skull split power. Yeah, I think we go right. And then that protects us from a Shang-Chi. Oh no. We're just gonna lock it in. We're just gonna lock it in to the right. If this is a Shang-Chi, no, it's a Taskmaster, so we are absolutely able to find our win condition. Actually, left or right was gonna be okay either way. I am so surprised that Johnsonson stuck that one out. I appreciate it, Johnsonson. If you're here, if you're watching the stream, I appreciate you. We needed that to slingshot ourselves back into a halfway decent amount of cubes. J-Prox, how's it going? Harrison Jones, it's the cube charity stream. We have to give back where we can. When we started, we were close to 110, so we're still kind of lingering around there. It's not terrible. And we're at 109. There's really no incentive to climb much further after you hit this, after you hit rank 100 right now, unless you're just looking to kind of make it on the higher leaderboards. And so I'm okay donating a few cubes. We get the Pixel Domino and the Pixel Mantis. Pixels won't leave us alone. That's all that we pull on this account. Let's jump into the next one. Oh, Jeremiah, swap out Thor. Should we go with another 4 cost or keep another 3 cost in case we don't use Electro? If you see Spooder Dooter in game this evening and I don't have the Herald of Galactus title, feel free to donate some cubes. I will absolutely do that. What rank are you right now, Spider? I knew I lost when I couldn't get my wave. Good game, Debrum. I never put the two together that you were Johnsonson. So I'm glad that I'm glad that I know now. I appreciate you sticking it out to the end to allow us a few pity cubes here. Kappa, how's it going? 98.5, 15 cubes short. Ooh, that's just a couple of games. On my climb to infinite this season on this account, Brandon, he considers -9 decent. My lord, all this time off streaming has ruined the last strong guy. With an Agatha deck, I'd say anything that's not super negative is gonna be a win today. Debrum, I should change my in-game name. I think they're bringing that eventually, right? They're bringing that soon. Is the name changes? My free variant was for Game of the Year was a Pixel Cloak. It's so lackluster. Like whenever they were kind of rare, the Pixel variants were cool. Oh, that's an awful morph. That's not a great morph. That's not a good feel. But we do have Jubilee. Jubilee could pull into Captain America, Captain Marvel. They may be running a all-out kind of lockdown deck list. They might be running something that has Wong. And so this is a Mysterio and then something else here, right? Imagine if Agatha knew how to snap. We would be very, 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 very... we would probably be very negative. Have you got any of the winter variants or bundles? So I bought the Sunspot bundle on this account. I only have one winter variant skin outside of Sunspot on this account. On my other account, I have like 4 or 5, and I've pulled like half of the reserves that this one did. And so I had much more luck on my other account. But this one I have Rock Slide and then the Sunspot. Fun fact, my first variant was a Swordmaster back when they were that rare. Yeah, and whenever they were rare, it was kind of a cool thing to pull. But now it just clogs up the board a bit. So our Captain Marvel could move to the right. We've already lost this location. It could move to the right and find us our win condition here, potentially. They used wave, so it could be a death wave, and they used a debris instead of something like a Squirrel Girl. And if so, then I think we've lost this one very, very heavily. But it's only one additional cube. Maybe they don't have their ideal play. Maybe they use Arrow and pull our card around. Maybe they use if they use a leader, then we lose as well, right? I think the leader is what we end up seeing. I think the leader is what comes down here. It's not. It's the death and Killmonger. That might give us our win condition, right? No, it doesn't. The Killmonger is too high over here. Plus the Mysterio over there. The one win and it goes to our head. We play it all the way out to the end. Jeremiah, you said I'd say another 3 cost, possibly Doctor Strange. Just lean into the insanity. But Doctor Strange would a lot of times be the first one that's played, right? But as far as on my climb this season, I got to 99.7, and then I dropped all the way to like 98, and I was playing conservative, and it's one of those things that it has such a high swing. that sometimes you're going to run into favorable matches. Sometimes you're going to run into a slew of just unfavorable matchups. This season, I think, is one of the hardest to climb. So we're taking out Thor. We could do another 3 cost just in case we don't get Electro. But a lot of times it's just going to be Domino and Doctor Strange at that point. And then for our, I mean, we could do Polaris. That could sometimes brick a Death Wave deck. I don't like Maximus because it's going to allow them to draw too many cards. If we added in one other 4 cost, we don't have anything that's just insane value compared to our other cards. White Queen would really lean into the insanity. The other ones are a little bit too situational to let Agatha take control of. And so we'll try Doctor Strange for a couple of games. We might switch it out for a Polaris after that, depending on what we're seeing and how Doctor Strange is doing. I'm not going to update the slide on this one because I don't know how long we're going to do this one. But we can lean into the insanity we can lean into the insanity for now. And then Dockster, how's it going? I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. Sandman could be okay with synergy with Electro, but if it did Electro into Sandman, that would feel really, really low tempo and it would feel really bad. What about Ghost Rider Hella discard deck? So the Ghost Rider version is decent. I would say that's more consistent than the full AFK version. And I actually like a counter Agatha deck list more than the Hella Casino version. Something that runs an Enchantress, a Shang-Chi, it runs a Taskmaster along with your Lady Sif, your Ghost Rider, and your Wave to allow you to find quite a few ways to find that win condition. But I wanted to try to see if we could make a deck that just runs powerful things. To see if Agatha can just fully take control. So I'm pretty sure I saw Atilin and Agatha popped back into my deck, or back into my hand. Sonim, howdy TLSG, how's Agatha treating you today? She's treating me pretty poorly. Ooh, we're on the wrong screen. Okay, this is how poorly she's treating us. We're negative 7 right now. Did we win the last game for 2? I thought we were more than that. Did we? I think we should be a little bit higher, a little bit more negative than that, but we were at one point negative 17. We are free. We are free of Agatha. We can now take control. If we skip here, we can play She-Hulk for 2. If we play Electro, then we'll have 6 energy, so then if we draw into Electro, that's fine. Oh, we're negative 11? All right, thank you guys. Let's go ahead and play Electro. We're going to get the 1 additional energy. Maybe Moon Knight, like just a touch of discard. It could be that touch of kind of randomness that we might need. We can play it. Speaking of Ghost Rider, I've been seeing this crazy Helicarrier Collector Dino Sif deck. And it's crazy how many high tempo plays you can get with it. Brandon, would you shoot over that list to me? I have Helicarrier on my other account, and I'd be interested to test it out. Oh yeah, Nakia. I forgot Q. Nakia synergizes with Shuri and with Agatha, and so we do draw back into Agatha. So I'm glad we did the Electro ramp. So that means we can get rid of Agatha this turn, and then next turn we are free to do whatever play we want. Most likely it'll end up being, I don't know. I don't know what our next play is. I think we lose the Hulkster Mania here. We could do She-Hulk. We're losing this lane regardless. If we do Arrow, that's going to pull him out, but we can't do anything here. Actually, we can't play She-Hulk here. We just lose this one, right? Let's go ahead and bow out of this one. Let's put in Nakia. I think I like the idea of Nakia. Buffing up the Agatha, buffing up anything to the left, and if it hits it with Shuri by some random chance. I think we give Nakia a chance. I haven't ran her since she got gutted And so I think it might be a good time to test her out. We're already testing out bad combinations and bad cards. We might as well add in one additional one. So let's see, Nakia. We're gonna add in the green skin. I do have the orange version, but I like the Dan Hip variant a little bit better. Do you have big plans for Christmas? King Gamer, I want to do as far as videos go, I want to do a year-end recap, or just kind of just some kind of compilation video or content. As far as with family, we're gonna go visit my mom and my sister, but we wanna make sure that my mom is surrounded by family this Christmas with my dad passing recently, and so nothing huge. Jeremiah, I saw snap, and so we snapped. We did play Nakia on the first turn. Domino does get played into the right location in Gamma Lab, and so we have a pretty good shot. Both She-Hulk and Agatha can both be played relatively easily. Big Jim, 98.8. So close yet so far. Yeah, Harry, yeah, we're not doing anything major. Just spending some time with family and enjoying some downtime. But Big Jim, hopefully these next couple of games go your way and you're able to hit infinite. Is Thanksgiving or Christmas more important in the US? I think it depends who you ask. A lot of people like Christmas more because they get stuff and they can give gifts or receive gifts. I like Thanksgiving just because I like food, but and I don't typically like other people to have to spend money on me. So even when I was little, whenever I would get asked what I wanted for Christmas, I'd say nothing. And so I think it depends who you ask. Yeah, a path, something like a Marvel Snap Rewind, that just kind of the Jubilee is doing us dirty, but we do have the Vision, which could work. It gives us one. Wait, did we give them Agatha? Oh, we did give them Agatha with White Queen, so now they don't have control. I didn't think about that being... Oh, no, I guess not. Oh, we must have given them She-Hulk instead. So it feels like it goes towards the lower booster cards if you win your matches. I wish they would have got the Agatha, but it does look like they ended up getting our She-Hulk instead. So this is the final turn. Do we anticipate a leader play? Is that what we're thinking? If it's a leader play, we have initiative. We can pull their leader over before it triggers. And then we just have our win condition here. Jeremiah, we were in sync with this playline. I do think arrow to the right to pull a potential leader, vision to the left to have this one be the win condition by a little bit more, and then in the middle, we still have a pretty good lead with our Agatha. They still have Agatha? No? No. They have our She-Hulk. Because they were able to play Devil Dino. Oh, wait, yeah. No, they could have Agatha. You're right. They could still have Agatha. Yeah, it must have been the Agatha. If that was the only card they could play, we were going to yank it to the right. We'll take our 2 cubes. We are now -9. We're going to start our slow, consistent climb and ascension. Ruby, how often does everyone change deck archetypes after so many losses? I shift quite a bit, but not due to losses. I shift quite a bit just from experimentation. I think if you string together quite a few losses in a row, then you might just try something a little bit different. Sometimes just that change of pace is all that you need to kind of refresh your thought process. If I try to grind one particular deck or archetype too much, a lot of times I start overstating how strong my hand is, and then I snap more often, and end up losing bigger cube games more consistently than I would have otherwise. And so I think it's just a feel. So if you feel like you're playing a little bit too aggressively for however powerful your deck is, you might shift depending on what you're seeing or how you're feeling. I think it's -10. You forgot to add the -1 from the retreat. Okay. We'll go down to. I mean, that is kind of Domino's thing, right? She's always lucky, and so she doesn't have any actual powers. She's just lucky, right? And then Morph tries to strike twice, and it does. It doesn't get destroyed in Danger Room either. Wow. Domino never dying in Danger Room would be a cool Easter egg, or like just because she avoids death because she's just that lucky. If this does Shuri into Jubilee or Nakia, I'm gonna be so sad. You just got the Winter Patriot? Okay, now we definitely snap. So with the Shuri into Captain Marvel, that is what I needed. That's the confirmation I needed that it wasn't going to tank my Shuri play. So after that, we're pretty confident. We are absolutely fine. The arrow would have been fine. And ooh, the snapback. That is, we'll take it. I assume that they're running a death wave. They probably will run maybe wave here into a couple of cards on the last turn, or maybe not. They do run wave, and then their demon and their Yondu. So they do have the death plus one additional card here. We have Captain Marvel that's going to be able to rove the board. We have Agatha that comes down. We might still lose, but we have a decent shot. You're guessing an arrow final turn, and so if it's an arrow, then our Captain Marvel can work to counter that, right? Depending on where it's at, it could be a leader, but that seems like a weak play line overall. Maybe a leader and a death could do it. So no, it's just a leader. And so our Agatha comes down. Oh no. Unfortunately, the leader strikes again. Astro does end up swiping some of our cubes. Back to -18. Yeah, that was really, really close. The leader is one of those things that it's just it's tough. Stansu, all my homies hate leader. Leader is just very common right now. Is the thing is that whenever I start dictating my turn 6 play, whenever I'm actually controlling it, whenever I start dictating my turn 6 play based off of the fact that I always assume the enemy has a leader, makes it so difficult. It feels really, really bad when that's kind of the case. Because there's sometimes I'll do an inopportune or inefficient play on 6 to try to play around a leader, and just that overall threat and presence, I think, is where it really, really gets difficult. Leader is very, very evil. Sometimes leaders just win. It's okay. We have to. Most of the time, we build a deck to try to play around leader right now. But with this one, it's all RNG based, and so the leader play was a fine turn 6. Was a fine turn 6 drop. I wish leader was 5 energy and couldn't be played turn 6 like Magic. That could be a way to kind of force it, Jason, so that it's not like, as polarizing. I think that'd be an okay drop. Either that, or I think the base power has to be lowered quite a bit. Leaders let anarchy reign supreme. Yeah, the leader meta, the leech leader meta, I think is what I have an issue with, but it's all right. We'll get through it. We managed to climb even with the leader meta, and we try to avoid. Let's hope Agatha plays Marvel. That is. But we have Electro, so we'll get a turn for free, Jeremiah. So even if she doesn't, we should be able to. Leader should have 0 power. I think that might be another solve for it as well. And then TCFY, is there any sport you like to watch? From time to time, I like to watch NBA and football, NBA or basketball and football. But it's not something I actively keep up with. But those are the two that I probably watch the most often. Ooh, we do have the big Agatha coming in that follows up the Shuri. Denzel, grats on making it to infinite. Now you can just play around. Yeah, that's kind of one of the driving factors of this Agatha list, is that it doesn't necessarily matter if we end up losing. And so we have the massive 28 power Agatha that's coming in. We will have a turn 6 Captain Marvel that will be able to rove over into the Sanctum Sanctorum. They're not going to be able to counter this one with a Shang-Chi or any kind of counter card because of the Cosmo play. Oh, I already snapped. I was the one that snapped, Jeremiah. I saw the potential with Captain Marvel into Sanctum Sanctorum, and I snapped a little bit earlier. The Devil Dino is pretty big, though, but not big enough. It is not big enough for them to find their win condition. We should snap harder. It's not letting us. We tried. Yeah, we have the big Mama Agatha coming down. The 28 power just unit. And if they end up buffing their hand, they can only get another +2 to this lane. And so 25 max. So Agatha should be fine just by herself. And then I think Captain Marvel just wins us the game. And so I'm gonna you can't snap twice. We try though. We try quite a bit. Are you kidding? 06 leader with Mr. Negative? The 06 leader would be pretty bad. But yeah, we're gonna lock in the Captain Marvel. She should allow us to win Sanctum Sanctorum if they decide to stick around. So if they do a leader in the hub, then we're playing our Captain Marvel to the right just as a precaution, because they're not gonna be able to copy whatever we play in Washington, D.C. That's what she said. Oh, Kurt. Are the winter variants only available in the reserve boxes or also in the shop? Right now, they're only in the reserve boxes, and I think that's the only place that they're going to be for the most part. Bailey, been loving your channel. Keep it up. Bailey, I'm so glad that you're enjoying the content, the channel, and that you're here with us live today. That's, as a creator, that's really all that I could ask for, is that you're enjoying the content that we're putting out. And so I keep checking the shop. We're looking for either Hawk, which I can't say the full name because when I say it too fast, it sounds like it sounds inappropriate. So we have Hawk and we have Sentry. Both of those I'm looking for in our shop. We have plenty of tokens. We're just looking for those cards to pop up, and then we can start building around them. You lose to Iron Fist Galactus. That is true. That would probably break our spirit, Q. If they had a Iron Fist Galactus, I'd probably quit. We'd retire right there. Like they beat us. There's no coming back from it. And then we're going to go up against Bane, and Bane is a pretty strong player. They always have pretty decently cohesive decks. It's always a good match every time we match up against him. From where do you have so many tokens? So I have been reinvesting the revenue that we get from the content from the YouTube channel back into progressing the collection. I've been trying to get as many Series 4 and Series 5 cards as we could to try to get as much content out as possible. And so that's where all the tokens came from. Is Morph meta right now? I wouldn't necessarily say meta, but it's not bad. There's a lot of decks that, yeah, Moon Knight freed us. We're free from our shackles. We can make our own decisions. I wouldn't necessarily say that Morph is meta. There are certain decks and certain times that Morph ends up being really, really big, but it's kind of like a lower cost Doc Ock. It can either like really help set you up for success, or just kind of end you right there. Jubilee into Clintar, just for the lulz. So, do you like the Shuri play into a turn 5 Captain Marvel though? Because then that really helps free us up. But now we're torn. We could do the Jubilee just for lulz and Clintar. I'm gonna go with the Shuri just because I think I favor Shuri a little bit. And then we're gonna look to find our win condition maybe in the hub and Clintar. I find Morph like Gambit. Let the dice roll. Yeah. That's definitely Morph's strength. Sometimes it's gonna pull an Infinite, or I actually pulled a Leech on 3 with Morph, and it was the most satisfying thing to counter a Leecher deck. And then Dad, welcome. I'm so glad you were able to jump in and join us. How is everything going on your end? I know that you had a newborn, or you were about to have a newborn recently. I hope everything is going incredibly well. Skull into the hub, arrow into left on 6, but then we would... And that depends on where they play, I guess. Because we could win Clintar by just a little bit. That's going to be our biggest power play. We'll go ahead and push for it, and we'll see. Your Morph retained its variant while only changing his name to Null. Did it really? On my end, it completely changed him to the Null card. Oh, that's a rough one. Our only our only chance would be a morph. This lockjaw is stacked. I think we just lose, yeah. Unless they just didn't play into Clintar. He'll be 2 weeks old on Friday. Congratulations, Dad. I hope that he is. I hope that he's happy, healthy. I know that you're probably sleep deprived, exhausted right now. But it is a big milestone. So congratulations. Hope everything continues to go well for you. Copy his hand before discard. Morph Dracula. Morph Dracula. Dracula was already on the board. Oh, copy whatever he was going to discard right before. That could have done it. Counter the counter with his own counter. Played in Morph next to my Mr. Sinister. Turned into Odin. Oh, the spider. Oh, that's so bad. And so we're going against Bane again. Hopefully we can just woke up. The sleep schedule is all over the place. Yeah, with how many times you wake up in the middle of the night and just, even if you're not the one that's getting up and like changing or feeding, you still wake up, and so it can be. My sleep schedule was really bad for the better part. Okay, who am I kidding? My sleep schedule is still really bad, but it's not due to my daughter anymore. It's just due to me now. Domino does die to Vormir, so I guess she doesn't always get lucky. So we have Shuri on 4. We could do a... Oh, actually, that's going to be a big Agatha next turn, right? It could be a big Agatha into Danger Room. Subterranean is going to ruin both of you. We have quite a few of our big cards in hand already, though. So hopefully it ruins him more than it ruins me. And so we have the big Agatha, the 28 power Agatha coming in. Maybe we can sneak away a win with an Arrow or a Captain Marvel on turn 6. We're going to go ahead and snap into it. TCFY, how much time does it take you to get 5 good games for a video? It really depends on the list. Sometimes it is like almost instantaneous. Sometimes it is the first out of the first 7, I get 5 good ones. Sometimes it is a little bit rougher than that. Sometimes it takes quite a bit longer. Was worried about Agatha dying in Danger Room. That is another, that would have been another big concern. So I think, TCFY, I think on average it probably takes me, of just gameplay, probably 40 minutes to an hour. But that's not including time like refining the deck, figuring out what deck I'm going to run, testing the deck, doing like those behind the scenes things. So just gameplay wise, I think probably about an hour. And then Joy Boy, how's it going? I hope that you're having a fantastic day. I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. So I think we're gonna play Arrow into Danger Room. Jeremiah, how come it would be better in Vormir? So we're gonna lose Danger Room if we're looking for the tiebreaker. It wouldn't matter either one, right? Or just because there's an extra space, and so in case he floods the board with rocks. But the stats should be the same. So the 8 power here versus the 8 power here, they should offset each other, yeah? Hopefully this is 3 rocks, and he's not able to cycle any of them. And you do all this next to another job. That is, yeah, TCFY, that is true. Oh, the 8 power could die in Danger Room. That's what you were angling for. That's a good call. That's a good call, Jeremiah. And so we do find our win condition with the freedom that Electro and Agatha gave us, and the arrow play to pull the rocks over to the left. So we're still negative 14, but we are slowly working on our ascension. Jeremiah, aka Soul Knife. But yeah, TCFY. I do this next to having almost a 2-year-old daughter, and working full time as well. And so it is a lot to juggle sometimes, and there's a lot of nights where I get very, very tired as I'm like finishing up editing or uploading or recording. But I'm finding a good balance. Hopefully someday some of those responsibilities, so whether it be the full-time job, can be alleviated a little bit. And yeah, I have 3 dogs as well. But they're pretty laid back. They're very kind of lazy dogs, which works to my advantage. And then Dom, why no Taskmaster in this list? To copy your 28 power Agatha, because Agatha's dumb. The most simple way to put that is because Agatha is dumb. Because we could do a Shuri on 4 into a Taskmaster on 5, and it just end up copying a 1 power. So we're gonna morph in Vormir, which is not ideal. Whatever we morph into is gonna die, which is not gonna be great. But if you're running a deck list that gets Agatha out earlier than 5 consistently, then I think Taskmaster is a really good fit. Just in this scenario, it's not. I think the game was having a hard time destroying the Bucky Barnes, and maybe giving us our Winter Soldier. Maybe. There we go. It was having a really, really tough time figuring that one out. So we do have the Shuri. We're gonna have the double powered. That could be the double powered Jubilee or Nakia. Hopefully it's Captain Marvel though. That's what we're gonna hope for. Yeah, the Bucky pull was really big. Earlier I got subterranean on turn 3 and drew rock for the rest of the game. Ryan God, sometimes that just what did you say to Milady? I said she misplays quite a bit. Sometimes it works out. The morph into Winter Soldier is good. Yeah, a lot of these new locations, yeah, it's like it has trouble processing what is going on. But Jill, in my opinion, leaving full-time job is kind of in kind of recession is not a good idea. Yeah, Jill, it's not something that I would do anytime soon. It would have to be very consistently proven that it would be worthwhile. And so it's not something that like tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and just quit. I'm just like long term. Eventually, it would be nice to be able to do. If this is something that continues pushing. And then Momo, curious, what does TLSG stand for? The famous Shuri Electro. As far as TLSG goes, there are a lot of legends around where the name came from. There's a lot of myths, a lot of false stories being told. But the one true story is that whenever the last snap god, my favorite, the tree loving shy guy. I don't have a good one for today, guys. The late streaming guy. Most stories created by us and told by him. That is true, Brandon. Most of the stories are created by you guys and then recreated through me. The lonely sniper guy is one of my favorites. I also liked the lasagna and spaghetti guy, or the lasagna and spaghetti game. The last stand griefer. The 4 middle name story is a really good one as well. That lame slogan guy. That could cover it as well. We're gonna go ahead and play our. Well, I guess we have to play our Agatha. We don't have a choice in that matter. But Agatha will come down. Henrique, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. We have 8 energy, but we have Electro, so we're confined to only doing 1 drop this turn. I'm thinking there will probably be a leader here, but they have initiative, Is or is Captain Marvel enough to win us the game in any scenario? It's not. We don't have anything left in our deck, so Jubilee is not going to be the answer. I don't think Red Skull is either. I think we're gonna back out of this one. Having this stacked, having all of our power, the Shuri into Electro was just the downside that we did not need. So we go back to -16. 2 big cube gains. Can Sunspot work in this deck? Sunspot could. Since we oftentimes skip a lot of our early turns, it could. Joseph Walsh, happy holidays. I hope that you are having a fantastic day, fantastic week. And I hope that you have some fantastic holidays coming up. Do you plan on continuing to stream here on YouTube or eventually move to Twitch? If it ever became a scenario where I was streaming extended streams, so really long streams, at that point I think we would need to move over to Twitch. Otherwise, for the foreseeable future, I plan to just kind of keep everything together on YouTube. I think it's a little bit more accessible for a lot of users, a lot of viewers. I think Electro is going to hurt us here. Electro is going to ramp into an early turn 5 drop, and then it will probably go into Vormir and end up getting destroyed. But Henrique, for the foreseeable future, I plan on streaming on YouTube. Did you see the bug with Bucky Barnes on the new location? We did. Last game, we actually morphed into a Bucky Barnes, and it took a very long time to resolve. Yeah, we're gonna retreat as quickly as we possibly can here. That's even better than I expected. That is just Agatha doing Agatha things. But Ryan God, you said 24-hour stream when? I don't know the logistics of how to make it happen. But I was thinking about trying to do some kind of extended like charity stream sometime. I think that'd be really cool and a good way to kind of give back just from the platform and just be able to stream for a little bit longer. I just don't know the logistics of exactly when that would be. Henrique, Binks has a system in which he is able to have a stream going on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and both chats are interconnected. Henrique, yeah, I actually did that for a little while. As long as you are not partnered or affiliated on Twitch, you can actually do both. You can dual stream. Momo, I would rather morph into the Space Throne. The Domino is rough. But yeah, no, you can dual stream Henrique, but you can't be affiliated on Twitch because then there's the compete clause. Oh, into the morph in Vormir. We're gonna jump out of this one real fast, and we're just gonna rinse and repeat. We're gonna do a couple more games with Agatha, and then I think maybe we pivot into something a little bit better. We have a couple of decks that are pretty decent runs that I think could give us our cubes back pretty quickly. And then Sasuke, welcome. I'm so glad you were able to jump in and join us. Yeah, Agatha is just wrecking things. Then Spiritual Turtle. Did you purchase the Sunspot bundle? I did. But I'd like to see the Sunspot upgraded before I get it. Yeah, actually, after this game, I split Sunspot, I think 4 or 5 times from the bundle, and so I'll pull it up after this game. Pure RNG deck, all shield cards. I mean, it might be more consistent than Agatha at this point. Lovely to see an Agatha deck, but I have to get you back to positive cubes. Yeah, and this Agatha deck is just not doing it so far. We do have the morph into a Thanos stone here, is what I imagine. We have a lot of cards that it could potentially pull from. We have 4 choices. Into the Space Throne. Ugh, not what we needed. Into the Electro on... Into the Electro on 4. So we'll be able to do an Agatha on 5. We're going to believe in Agatha here. We probably lose. Agatha's probably going to play herself into Vormir. but this may be our last Agatha game, so we're just going to lean all the way in. And Sasuke's here, so we should start our positive ascension, right? I think Agatha is not happy with you. I would agree, Luis. I would absolutely agree. Into the Infinite and the Power Stone flip into Magneto. Oh, that's awful. Make up Guardians of the Galaxy deck. Agatha into Vormir. Yeah, that's probably where she's going to go. She goes into Lemuria, which is okay. We're actually okay with the Lemuria play. I don't know if I can compete with Agatha's power. Sasuke, I don't know that anybody can. I don't know that anybody can. Sweet, I think it looks cool, and I've been saving gold for the past 2 season passes. Yeah, and it's a good ratio. So you get a lot of tokens, you get a lot of credits. So if you were going to spend anyways, I think it's a decent way to spend. So they do have Captain Marvel. We could... What's left in our deck? Our Red Skull got destroyed. It's an arrow, right? Why today is the luckiest day of Lockjaw players. So this is going to be an arrow, but I don't think we have a way to win. Their Captain Marvel gives them a little bit of flexibility. We can't pull over here because we'd lose in Vormir. We're going to retreat out of this one. Let's look at the Sunspot split, and then we'll run a deck that I tested out a little bit. It does go into the leader play line, unfortunately, but it is pretty strong right now. Let's go to our recent, and I don't know. We'll go to energy so that they're. Why are they not grouped together? For whatever reason, our Sunspot variants are not grouped together. We can look at it this way though. So we have the base one that's upgraded. We have a couple of the like flares. Oh no, this is not gonna work out well. So a couple of the flares. It looks pretty cool when it's upgraded. I think the variant overall is pretty solid. I would like to see what it looks like as black and white, as an inkified version. I think that would look pretty sleek, but we weren't able to get there, and we did end up spending just about all of our credits. Not our credits, but our boosters for Sunspot. It's 1 a.m. I have to head out to sleep. Thanks for the great stream. I'll catch up the video on demand tomorrow. Joe Piggy, I hope that you have a great. I hope you have a great night. And I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us for a while. So we're gonna do a deck that I titled KM Does It Again, because KM Best tweeted this deck out, and it runs the Shuri interaction as well as Vision to avoid like leader lockdowns. The only thing that it really doesn't do great against is Leech, but we have Magneto in here as a counter to that. And so let's go ahead and switch the screen element really quickly, and we'll run this one a couple of times. We'll see if we can get back to positive before we end the stream. This one should be a much more consistent version, and I think it's going to be one of the better shells for Shuri. Okay, and so we'll switch back over into the gameplay screen. We're going to take out the card abilities because I didn't update those. So we'll just leave it as is and see if we can. You don't have a leader variant? I don't. I don't have a leader variant. I haven't pulled one. Are you a full-time software developer? Ben, are you asking me? So I'm a data analyst, and so. I mean, we can snap back. That's fine. I'm a data analyst, so I take the information. I create queries on all of the different systems that we have to pull and compile data, and I transform it into digestible ways that our leaders can look at it quickly and make decisions as far as like any kind of business changes that we need to make. And so that's what I do. that's what I do as far as full-time work is being a data analyst. So we could do Thor or Maximus. Maximus would be okay here, just because they already have a pretty big hand size. But I like the idea of Thor being able to continue to get bigger over time. Time to put chat there. Yeah, but it's I'd have to reorganize the element, and since I have the new monitor, it's all kinds of wonky. Dream Dimension with Shuri. Yeah, Dream Dimension with Shuri is tough, but we do have White Queen that we'll be able to utilize, or a Maximus, which should be okay. Or we could just lean into the turn 5 Shuri drop into a turn 6 play. Is Hawk Series 4 or 5? It's Series 5. I didn't say congrats for new monitor, so it's not. It's a downgrade. So my better monitor broke when I was traveling with family. It fell off where it was mounted or propped, and it just destroyed it. And it was about double the resolution of this screen, so I have everything like squeezed into a little space. I need to get a replacement. I just haven't been able to yet. Had to change the stream overlay on the fly. Oh yeah. Essential cards for Mr. Negative and Surfer deck. I'd say for the Mr. Negative version, I think Bast is one of the really strong ones. Yeah, F for the old monitor. But I think Bast is one of the really strong ones for the Mr. Negative version. Outside of that, I think Brood, and then you're just your solid inverted 3 drops. So your Mystique, your Iron Man, and a couple of those other really solid cards. So we're gonna go ahead and drop Maximus into Dream Dimension. Maybe a turn 6 arrow play would allow us to find our win condition in the Triskelion and the Dream Dimension, depending on how much they push here. Is that the route we want to go with, though? Because they could push a lot of power here. And our White Queen copied their Giganto, so if they're just doing a big push, they could play it over here, but our arrow would yank it. We would win this one by 2, this one by a pretty decent margin. And not an ideal way to win that one. But for this deck, we are now +4. We're gonna slowly chip away at our -18 deficit that Agatha gave us, and see if we can get back up to around the 110 area. If not, it's okay. I did just want to launch up a stream. We're still waiting for the new cards, which should refresh in about 40 minutes. If we get a new one, then that is what tomorrow's video will be. Otherwise, we have a take on a Titania build that I think is pretty. I think is pretty interesting. The Spider back down to 97. That is like being that close and then dropping is one of the hardest things to do. And we do have a Q match again. So I think the game is kind of thinning out around this rank because for a long time, me and Q were not able to match against each other, and this time we've matched twice. And so we're gonna put the test through its paces. Q, I know that you're not here anymore, but hopefully you switched off your Agatha deck since we switched off of ours. I think that is only fair. We're gonna go ahead and throw our Scorpion. We have Thor for 3, which is a good way to protect against a lot of the meta style decks. I don't know if we push for Hala or just let it go though. I think we're going to push for Hala. We have our Thor, we have a White Queen follow-up. It's pretty tough, though. But Thor might get destroyed here. Thor wouldn't... These are not great locations for us. We are going to push for Hala to try to win the Hala location. Ooh, a Patriot and a Colossus? I'm very curious. Wait, Q? I hope he's not still running his Agatha deck. So Patriot into Warrior Falls is a really tough one. That means anything else that gets put here is going to destroy the Patriot. So I am going to lean into Hala, but I mean, anything we drop into Warrior Falls will end up destroying his Patriot card. Wait, Q? Arch Nemesis? Q? Yeah, it is. Oh, okay, so he is still running his Agatha deck. Now I feel bad that we're not running ours. This is basically the deck that you run, but swap Shuri for Leech. Yeah, it's one, KM Best tweeted this version, and it's really strong. I don't want it to be as strong as it is, but it's very, very consistent. Just with how much like late game power push it can do and the misdirection that it has, it feels a little bit dirty, but it is very, very strong. Oh no, I feel bad. We're gonna swipe some cubes away from Q with his Agatha deck, which makes me feel really bad. Is Shuri needed? I feel like Shuri really helps elevate the power level of your turn 5 drop, so like a Vision. That makes Vision really, really hard to counter against. We might lose against his Agatha deck. If Agatha goes here, then nothing will go here. Oh. And then that's going to destroy 4 of his power, 2 of mine. We might win the tiebreaker. Yeah, we win the tiebreaker. I'm so sorry, Q. I'm so sorry, Q. Oh, no. We switched off of our Agatha deck, and he was still running his. Now I feel bad for that matchup. That makes us 50-50. I don't think... Q, whenever you get back in here, I don't think that one should count against our record. We'll take those. Q. Were they all chibi? I didn't notice until you asked. Were they all chibi cards? Did you do a full chibi Agatha deck? That's kind of impressive. I don't have a lot of chibi deck or chibi variants or a lot of variants for a lot of the cards you would want to run in that. Yeah, it was an all chibi Agatha deck. That's huge. I do feel bad that we ended up winning a few cubes because we switched off of the Agatha, but I wish I would have noticed to really appreciate it as it was coming down. I was really confused by the Patriot play for a second until we realized that you were still running your Agatha. Q is the chibi collector. That is true. You should also change the title of the stream, TLSG. I don't know that we're going to be live too much longer, but I can. I don't know how that works with YouTube. Agatha took full control and failed. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do... No, nope. We're gonna leave it as that. Agatha took full control and failed. We're gonna leave it at that. We'll think about a better title later. I'm sorry to keep harping on it, but man, I want to see you play this Val deck. Yeah, no, Rando, did you send it to us in? Did you send it to me in Discord? It's definitely something that I want to check out. I've been looking for a good way to utilize the Valkyrie because I think she could be a very good tech card. And allow you to find win conditions when you don't have them otherwise. It's just I haven't found a good home for her. Agatha lost control. As Agatha does. If the title needs changed, ask Agatha to change it. Agatha didn't do us very well, so I don't know that we trust in Agatha anymore. You made a Discord post? Oh, perfect, Rando. I'll check it out right after this. Or Agatha, less control. We're gonna do the Shuri. We both have Thors, so it looks like we're running very similar decks here. Maybe we can draw into our Vision or an Arrow for our turn 5 play. They are running a Lockjaw. Oh my gosh, that is a huge Lockjaw flip. Let's do a double power White Queen into a Mjolnir. That's going to copy their highest cost card. And then maybe we can find our win condition from there. Forgot to tell you why Rogue is in it, but I think you can figure it out. Now I'm very curious. I'm very curious what's there. So they used, oh no, they used an Arrow, which actually, we have the win condition in Central, or we have the lead in Central right now. So that's actually okay. We could do leader here, and that just wins this lane, doesn't it? or since we have initiative, we can do Arrow, and that pulls their card over into Vormir, which I think is a little bit better of a play line. I've been warning y'all about stupid Agatha for months. Dad, every once in a while, we have to be re-humbled, and we use Agatha again, and then she just, has to re-humble us. I don't know. This is probably the pinnacle of Thor variants. Please say all right on the start of the next game, like you usually do. That's my favorite part when I watch your videos. Okay, awesome. We'll do that for you. I like the arrow play to the right or to the left since we do have initiative. I think we'll win this lane by 2, unless he can somehow flood the board. Otherwise, I think that should be our way to win. And I anticipate maybe a leader. No, it's a Dracula. So we do find our win. Wow, they could have played Dr. Doom and won. We take those. We absolutely take those. That very quickly cut our cube deficit to -2, right? Or did I count all those correctly? From -14 to 6 because we got an 8 cube win. Wow. So -14 to 6, and then that goes to -2. So wow, yeah, we're almost positive. It's Sasuke's power at its highest. I don't know why they didn't play Dr. Doom. Maybe they were afraid of a leader. That's kind of the threat that leader brings to the meta, is that you're afraid to do your game-ending or game-winning plays because leader's just going to copy them. And then awesome, this next one is for you. And then Ninja, you said, do you have a favorite card by ability only, no matter the stats? I really like Captain Marvel. I don't think she's broken, but I think her flexibility and just the fact that she can move after everything else resolves makes her very, very strong. And then I also like Debris. I like Debris. I don't think Debris is ever going to be incredibly strong at gaining cubes, but I think Debris is a very fun, unique one to play. But by far my favorite is Captain Marvel. And then Hasim. All right, next up we have Mod. The first location is Shadowland. We have our Maximus, Lizard, Arrow, and Shuri, which is a pretty decent start to our hand. We're able to curve into a 16 power Arrow. If we draw Vision, that's going to be even better. And then we have a couple of our early turn plays. Let's go. So let's go ahead and play our Lizard into the sewer system. We're looking to have an early lead and early initiative. We're watching live the video, Jill. Sometimes they're just gonna make the cut. If you hold all your cards at orange border, how do you increase your collection level? They're between all the variants and everything else, and I'll still split them. I just usually hold off on splitting my cards until I can do a full loop. Once I do a full loop, then it goes back to orange anyways. And so I don't necessarily hold all of them there, but I do hold the majority. So we could do Maximus, but I don't think we want to allow them to draw into their extra cards. And I don't think we've saw Vision this since we started playing this deck, right? And Vision is one of the more flexible cards. We do have Shuri. I think we gamble and see if Shuri will get destroyed in Danger Room. They do have the Lockjaw rotation, which is usually going to be pretty big. And they're running a Thanos deck list, so they flip into their Dracula. I think we just avoid that middle station. Brandon, I leave for a few minutes and you become the very thing you swore to destroy. You were supposed to beat the leaders, not join them. I know, but it is such a strong deck. We're 3-0. We took almost an hour worth of losses from Agatha and have almost turned them positive. I don't run this one very often because it does lean into the leader meta. I would rather run my version of the Shuri and kind of zero deck list, but this one is incredibly consistent. It's hard to deny the consistency. So I think we're gonna play Arrow into the sewer. No, they have Dracula, right? I think we're gonna play Arrow into Shadowland. Next turn we could do leader, depending on what they play, or we could just go with a Maximus and a Thor into Danger Room and try to find the win that way. They move their Lockjaw into Danger Room, and then they try to rotate, remove Jotunheim. Oh, wow. So the Reality Stone changes Death's Domain, or changes the far left lane into Death's Domain. So anything else that's played here will end up getting destroyed. We now have our vision. I'm using your Shuri 0 to climb. Denzel, yeah, that's actually the list that I used to climb to Infinite this season. So it can hold up, it's just, it doesn't quite have as big of an edge. It doesn't have quite as big of an edge. So with the Lockjaw and Danger Room, I don't know which direction we go. So I assume that they're going to rotate cards here. And so if we did a leader, it's probably going to copy junk, and then they're going to rotate into bigger things. I think we would almost have to do and hope for a big play in the sewer system instead. So, Sasuke, my issue with leader is if they play into Danger Room, then we copy their... Yeah, then we copy their stones. Before they rotate. And so they would play the stones, they would rotate into potentially bigger things. The play in middle is also inherently kind of risky because they could absorb something really big with Dracula. I think we're gonna push middle. Because the Dracula can absorb some additional power. So what I was worried about in middle, Sasuke, is the Dracula. If the Dracula pulled into something really big, and we had leader to the right, then we could end up losing both middle and right lanes. So they... Oh, no! That's what we get for running leader, right? That is a 1... that is a 1 out of 7. 1 out of 7 shot that they discard into Dracula, or into Infinite, which is what they needed to win. Oof. That one's tough to swallow, but it is only a 2 cube loss. We weren't risking all that much. We knew that we didn't have an incredible hand there. It's the leader karma. Yeah, as soon as you add in leader or leech, you just start getting bad RNG all over. Spiritual Turtle. So every 7 is the pity timer for Series 3 cards. And so if you're still pulling Series 3, every 7 should guarantee another card. Leader player gets what they deserve. That could be our new title. Leader player gets demolished by leader things. We're gonna go ahead and snap. I'm okay with our current setup. We have the Thor on 3, into a Shuri on 4, into a Vision on 5. We have a really good curve. We have the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 curve, which is gonna be hard for them to, I think, compete against. Wow, the Reality Stone to change it into Onslaught Citadel into the Soul Stone is pretty good. That means every card that we have in the middle is going to have -2 power. And then so we're going to go... I think we still have a really good shot here. I'm still confident with the snap. We're okay with the snap. Even though they have a pretty strong deck with that rotation, with the Lockjaw rotation, they have a lot of flexibility. We can always yank their Lockjaw on the last turn with our Magneto, which does give us a certain amount of flexibility that we wouldn't have otherwise. I think we do Mjolnir into Shuri into a Vision in Stark Tower. That's going to give us a 16 power Vision to move across the board, and then we can do a Magneto to yank the Lockjaw on the last turn if we need to. Oh boy, I get to wait for Bucky to respawn. Yeah, Bucky into Vormir is one of the slowest animations. It's not the slowest animation I've ever seen, but it is very, very slow. Oh, TLSG, that leader seems good. That could be another origin story. What do you think is the most balanced card in the game? Not too broken, not too weak. I feel like there are several that are in a pretty good spot. But as far as completely balanced, I don't know. You always think about the ones that are completely broken. I think Captain Marvel with 6 power she's versatile without being broken. So I think maybe that one. I think Death is definitely too overtuned. Destroyer's decent. A Storm is a good one because it can have counters, it can have counter plays, but it also really restricts the opponent. And then I think Spider-Man is in an okay spot at only 3 power, just with what he's able to do. But Lizard is decent. Lizard used to be really, really bad. Almost nobody used to run Leader just because of how negative that downside was. But now I think he's in a pretty decent spot because 2/2 is okay. It's similar to a Scorpion, but you have the chance to keep it at a 2/5, and then you can also do things with like Shuri or Shuri's Lab to kind of elevate his power level even further. I almost want to do a Lizard. We have initiative, or not a Lizard. I want to move Vision into the Onslaught Citadel. We can use Magneto to pull their 3 and 4 cost cards over, leaving them with right now just Magneto and Stark Tower. Leader used to be different. No, Leader's always been where he's at. It's just people have finally found a way to build him, and it's become so popular that it is very glaring. But yeah, I do think Captain Marvel is probably my favorite card. Armor is also pretty good as far as a tech card goes. Pretty cheap, decent power level, and does what it does very well. Why is Captain Marvel not in this deck? Vision is in this deck. The main reason that I have Vision in this deck over Captain Marvel is because we can control when and where it moves from, and it's not a sitting target for a it's not a sitting target for a Shang-Chi counter. Oh my gosh, that was incredibly close. The Magneto to pull our Thor and our Shuri over into the She-Hulk was a very big gamble. We are neutral, and we've done it. Leader's in the deck, but we haven't had to utilize Leader just yet. Is there an ability you'd like to see in a future card? I don't know of a specific ability. I do think some cards that have abilities that don't have like a tag, so they don't have an on reveal or an ongoing, are inherently a little bit harder to play around. So like Dracula, there's no answer for Dracula. And right now he's okay. He's not in a broken spot. But I think those cards that just don't fit into an ongoing or an on reveal, I think if there was a way to have a counter to those, similar to Cosmo to stop on reveals, or Enchantress or Rogue to take away those ongoings, if there was a way to counter, so like the Collector, your Bishop, your Dracula are all cards that have added benefit that continue to get benefited throughout the game, but there's just no way to block that effect. And so I think that would be, I think having something to counter those, and none of those are really strong right now. I think eventually they will. I think would be an ability I would like to see at some point. But I think that'd be a very big overhaul, and I don't think we'll ever see it. I want a Purple Man card just to snatch an opponent's card in that area. A Purple Man card. So you would steal one of the cards in that lane from the opponent. I feel like Rogue should be able to take any ability. I think as far as flavor goes, I think that would fit better with Rogue. But at the same time, I get why it's only limited to ongoing cards. That way it's not incredibly overpowered. But a rogue-like ability could steal any kind of flat abilities. And I think it'd be a lot harder to use though. Seems broken against Zola. Send an opponent card back to hand would be interesting. That would be pretty cool. It would punish those really tall decks that operate on running just a select few really big high power cards, because then you would bounce them straight back into the hand. I think those are all kind of cool and could see their way into the meta, but I think it's also very hard to balance with some of the abilities we have. So like Mr. Negative is so unique that you nerf the power of one card and you might be buffing that archetype. And so I think it's very challenging to balance even as is. But I am curious to see what they do with Loki. I think if it's some kind of roguelike element or deception, I think that could make it really fun to play. Hopefully it's not broken. Hopefully it's in a really good state where it's balanced. But I think Loki is probably one of the ones I look forward to the most to see what they do and how they what direction they go with it. There's a leaked random card who copies the power of a random card in your own hand. That could Ninja. That could be pretty cool if, let's say, you flood the majority of your cards and then you have less RNG and more control over what card that card is going to copy. I think that could be pretty cool to see. I think it would be a deck building puzzle for sure, but I think it could be pretty strong in the right kind of shell. So we did Shuri. We have the flexibility of a double powered vision or a double powered arrow, and I think we do an arrow. I think we're gonna pull. Gooseco. I need to change the title. We ran an Agatha deck. We went negative like 19, and to end out the stream or to close out the stream, we wanted to run something that was a little bit stronger, just to gain back some of those cubes. Card with the ability to destroy the retreat button. That would have to be a really low tempo play. Something like a 0 power play for 5 cost to make it playable. No, 0 cost would make it really strong in negative decks. That'd be so tilting. Hasim, that would be so tilting. You know what I want to see in Marvel Snap? What do you want to see in Marvel Snap, Q? Yeah, QX, she said, I love playing lane control cards like Spidey, Storm, but those decks are a pain to climb with. Yeah, because it favors explosive last turn plays or surprise last turn plays, and with those you can force your opponent into knowing that they've lost before that last turn, and I really like those decks. I like the Storm, Spider-Man, Debris style decks, but like you said, they're not great to climb with, because a lot of times your opponent is going to retreat out for 2 instead of accidentally risking 8 or something like that. And so they can move their Nightcrawler over to win in the flooded lane. We can do a Magneto that pulls their Storm out, and that would give us that would keep us level in this lane. It would actually pull the White Queen as well. So I think that lets us find our win condition in the Daily Bugle and the flooded lane, but it could swing either way. I'm gonna lock that one in. We are with that. We were positive 1. Oh, look at your Val deck. This is exactly what that deck does. I want to see an equivalent to Hearthstone's V7 Tron. When you need a set of specific cards to form a big card that would usually win you the game. That would be pretty cool. Seeing how they would do that with the limited deck, I think could be challenging. And I think Thanos is kind of their first taker. Yeah, I think that's their first take at it. But his payoff doesn't feel like it's as worthwhile. You have to get use out of your stones rather than Thanos himself in most scenarios or most games. Let me look at your Valkyrie deck really quick. I don't think we're gonna pivot here just yet. But I do think we want to run it. So you have Rogue in the list. And you said you think I could tell why? And so is it to counter any kind of big, strong ongoings like Devil Dino? Is it just a pure counter card? But the rest of the deck looks pretty good. You have your win condition in like the Punisher. You do Valkyrie into your Thor Hammer, Spider-Man to lock down a lane. I think it looks pretty good, and I'll experiment with it a little bit tonight. Let's run 1 or 2 more. No worries, don't have to pivot. Yeah, I'm gonna test it out after I end the stream, just so that I can kind of mess around and misplay with it a little bit. But it does look like it could do what it's designed to do very well. But as far as the Rogue, is that just a pure counter card? I saw the worst custom card design earlier today, where if you draw the card, discard, and draw a new card, it would be run in every deck, free 11 card decks for everyone. Yeah. Yeah, because then as soon as you drew it, it would just inherently thin the rest of your deck. So yeah, that one I think would be broken. And you would get some really good information, right? You would know if your leader got discarded. You would know if... Actually, no, you wouldn't discard those. You would discard the cards you drew. Yeah, it would be ran in, I assume, every deck that is out there. Let's go ahead and throw Thor onto the board. We have our Shuri that we can run on 4 into maybe an Arrow, maybe a Vision, maybe even a White Queen if we don't draw anything better. White Queen did get buffed up to 8. Ran an early wave. We blocked his destruction, so I think we're in a decent spot. Astro actually stole 8 of our cubes earlier, right? Let's go ahead and snap against him. See if we can find a way to get him back. So with the wave, do we run a leader here? That prohibits our Shuri play. I think we're still just going to run Shuri. They have initiative. If they run a leader, they'll copy our Shuri, which is okay. We have a pretty big vision that comes down. Then we can do our last turn leader play. They do use leader. They copy our Shuri, which is unfortunate, but it is expected. With the early wave drop, it was a very expected play. Let's go ahead and do our vision. And I'll play vision into the ruins. I don't think it necessarily matters. We can do a last turn arrow, as well as a pivot with our vision, or we can do a leader. We know that they've used their leader. In last turn, we may do a leader just to copy their big play. We can't do it this turn, or else we could copy their double powered card. Ooh, so they skipped there. Very interesting. So what do you guys think about doing an arrow to the right, as well as our Mjolnir to buff up our Thor to the left? We could go leader, but I think with arrow and the utility and just the power that we have on the board, I think our arrow is going to give us a little bit more flexibility. We also have 4 spaces to pull their cards over. We know that they can't do a leader. If for some reason they're running Odin, they won't be able to re-trigger leader here. She-Hulk arrow. So if it's She-Hulk arrow, then all of our cards play over here. We pull them over into Los Diablo space before their arrow reveals. And so our vision would stay here. Everything else should be equivalent. So I think this is okay. We're going to yank their cards over. I do think, yeah, it's going to be like a She-Hulk and an arrow, or 2 cards. 2 cards either way. Oh, maybe a Magneto. I didn't think about the Magneto play. Magneto can pull our Thor, the arrow. So we do find the win condition in the far left and the middle. We do steal back just a few of the cubes that Astro took from us. Let's do maybe one more game before we go ahead and call the stream, and we'll jump out of this one. We did finally end up positive. Actually, I think we're only positive 1. I calculated it as positive 5, but we started at just under 110. So I think we've only gained a positive 1 cube. But Rando, yes, Rogue is there to help against its biggest weakness. It's good for countering Wongs and Blue Marvels. But if you run to more than 1 ongoing, yeah, you gotta fold. And so if it's like a Patriot deck that stacks ongoing, sometimes those are tough against the Rogue matchup. But otherwise, I do like running Rogue in a lot of like counter style capacities. Surfle was problematic at the start, but people figured out how to counter him, which caused a bigger problem to deal with. Cute, yeah, that's very true. They figured out that Leech stops those big greedy last turn plays, or those combo plays, very, very well. And yeah, I think that created a bigger problem than Surfer itself. Should I pin and save for Bast? I have 3.6 to go. I think Bast is strong. I think Bast is very strong, but I haven't used Bast nearly as much as like a Shuri. Shuri for me is the most flexible of the Series 5. It depends on what your playstyle is. Leave Patriot alone. Patriot's in a pretty decent spot. Would you still run Vision without Shuri? Against Leader and Leech metas, I do think so. Vision gives us so much flexibility in countering Leader plays because we can maneuver that 7 power that the opponent won't have access to. So I think I would still run. I think I would still run Vision even without Shuri. So they do the wave again. TLSG, can you highlight the Patriot deck with Silver Surfer? I actually haven't built the Patriot version of Silver Surfer. I could test one out and see how it fares against our current meta. Nobody's running Enchantress or Rogue. Yeah, that's very true. It's very few decks that utilize that. So they have initiative. They're going to copy our card first. I assume they do another leader play here. And so we can make them cap out this lane with a Shuri. And I think that's what we go with. I expect the... Oh, no, they do a death. Interesting. Not the leader play line. Dude, so I gained 100 plus cubes yesterday, but I didn't gain a single rank. Did you lose cubes in between? Did you lose cubes in between gaining those 100? Titania is such a fun card in a junk disruption style deck. Yeah, and I actually have another build for that that I might showcase tonight that I've been having a lot of fun with. It has an explosive last turn play that most of the time leaders can't keep up with. It's very hit and miss. It's very nerve-wracking, but I also think it's very strong. QX, yes, please, to the Patriot Silver Surfer list. If so, yeah, I can look at building one. Stan, do you have a version of the Patriot Silver Surfer that you've been running that you like? My Morbius has been getting bullied hard by Rogue and Enchantress so much. I must be the only one matching up against them. Yeah, and I think it depends on like time of day, what other creators have recently suggested as far as content, and I think a lot of those things can determine what you're running up against in the meta. So they actually have a pretty big push on us. So we have 10 power here. This would only be 14 if we moved our vision. So I don't think we find our win condition, or I don't think we find a way to win with how big their plays have been. Even with the double power vision, them splitting their power like they did was a very strong play line. What happened to Orca? There was a bug whenever they went to release him, so they haven't released him yet. We're gonna jump out of this one for 2. Astros does get the better of us in this one. Maybe next time we will take it. The Titania Disruption is also really, it's one that's really fun to play, but also not one that's going to gain you a lot of cubes. They did say Orca should be out at some point, but it's not currently in the game yet. You don't have one yet? You're using the Ultron? I can dig around a little bit, see if I can figure one out. And then Ninja, what's your favorite discard card? I like the flexibility of Moon Knight, and I also like Gambit. I think Gambit has a really unique kind of style in that he can be good in discard decks and offer some value outside of just raw power in destroying cards. It's not going to be good in every matchup, but I do think it's one of the ones that is designed a little bit in a little bit different flavor than most just really strong discard cards that just have a big power stat. And then I think someone said, what's your favorite? Then Hassem, what's your favorite deck at the moment? Right now, I feel like we're in a really weird spot. As far as just fun goes, I like the version of Titania Control that runs Absorbing Man, Titania, and just locks the opponent out of the game towards the end of the game, so that they can't play on turn 6. You can't leader if you can't play on 6. That's probably one of my favorite decks right now, but it's not one of the strongest. What's a good alternative for Shuri if we don't have her? I think looking at the Devil Dino control list would kind of let us figure out what would be good in that slot. And I'm trying to remember what was slotted in over the Shuri in that one. I think so. That one leaned more towards a Daredevil and a Professor X, right? I think using that style of the build without Shuri would be a good take. This deck is pretty much Leech Leader deck without Shuri. It is. So without Shuri, you could do Leech, and do the Leecher build if you absolutely wanted to. We can do an arrow here, but that's not going to be great. We do have the leader play, which actually we're okay with. We're going to go ahead and do arrow. That's going to cap out this location, but we will have the free 6 cost card, plus we'll have leader. So if they copy it, that's okay. We're going to copy what they play as well. Do you have an alternative for Thor? So Thor really helps in protecting against lockdown decks. So with this list, Thor's main function is to, if it gets locked down with Professor X, or if they use a leader, then you can still push power into that lane after the fact, which is why it makes it so kind of consistent. I don't know that there's a good direct replacement for Thor. You might do another just really good high tempo turn 3 drop, but I don't think it'll give you as much value. I don't think you'll get as much value out of it as you do with Thor. So do we do a leader, an Ultron, and a Mjolnir, or do we do something more closer to like a Magneto, Ultron, and Mjolnir? That would give us a pretty big power push here. They didn't use wave, so they can do a couple of things. Our Magneto will pull their Deathlock, but it leaves the Winter Soldier. It's going to give 4 drones there that will be 4 power each. So it's going to be 16 power in this lane. I just don't know if we want to go with Magneto or with Ultron. We do know that their highest cost card is Death, but they can't use it. But if they use Leader, though, I think they're going to use Leader and outpower us, right? I think the Leader comes down. Yeah, unfortunately. The Leader comes down. It does pull our Thor over to the left, so I think we will maybe get more power out of it. But we'll see. So the Deathlock comes down. We do have the increased power that we're going to throw into our Thor. We match their Magneto. I think we still outpower them, right? We outpower them in left and middle. What a sloppy way to end! What a sloppy way to end the game. And we'll actually end the stream on that note. I do need to jump over and take care of a couple things. But at least we ended positive. This deck is crazy consistent. I think you could use this to climb relatively easily. And then Hasim, hey TLSG, do you live stream daily? I don't live stream daily. Usually it's just on weekdays during my lunch, because I have a full-time job that I do as well. So usually I just use my lunch break to live stream. These next couple of weeks are a little bit different because I have augmented hours for the holidays. But I do try to stream every weekday as much as I can. So usually it's around 10 a.m. Central Standard Time that I launch it. But right now it's been varied because of the augmented hours. But with that one, we will go ahead and in the stream, I will change the title of the stream so that it doesn't look like a pure Agatha fest. But we ended the stream positive. We took care of any negative downside that Agatha gave us, and we ended on a positive note. Positive streamer, positive vibes. Thank you guys for being here. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. I'm so glad that you joined us for this live stream. Hopefully I'll catch you in either tomorrow's video or tomorrow's live stream. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.